Okay, I'm going to try something here. Pardon the wet hair. Uh, Normally, I have this habit that when I get up after I've had my barefoot coffee and my sun meditation, I come in and I write. And so this time, I want to see what happens. Obviously, I've bathed uh, since then, but I want to see if I can journal this way first thing in the morning. Hello, how are you? This is so strange. I'm so used to doing this through my hands, but you know, that's habit. That's being stuck in time, and that means that's being stuck in the mind. And so here we go. Oh boy, am I going to share that? Oh well, okay. Um, Once again, lately, I have found myself deceived by someone purporting to be of great light, and I hopped on the bandwagon for a very short while, and I believed that this was so. Sometimes, my friends, that's the only way to find out. You know, you got to take a chance sometimes. And so I I joined up with this one and let him know that I believed in him and I was grateful to have found him. What have I learned? It's been a challenge. Um, I was able to greet more of my substance as I had daily interactions with this one. I mean, not physically. Come on. We're not physical beings, are we? We're energy beings. And so I was meeting the energy of this one daily. And it didn't take too long to realize something wasn't quite right. But I wasn't sure what it was. So at a certain point, I cut the tie energetically. And I said to my guides, my light beings, the ones that work with me, and to this one, I said, no more. I'm calling a cease for now. And I'm cutting ties with you so that I can go into heart and commune and see why it is that this doesn't feel right to me. It was at that point, pretty much, that this one showed his true colors. Very pushy, awesomely arrogant, and not at all pleased with me. And so, you know, within 48 hours, I was undeceived thoroughly. I suppose maybe I knew it up front. I don't know. But what I greeted as I faced up to this, I had to look at myself and see, okay, what is it within yourself that allowed you to be deceived, to be taken in? And I found what I think most all of us have. We're all beings of great light who've been cut off from our memory, even of our own activities and incarnations, much less our star families, our higher selves, and our friends. And so we have a longing, we have a yearning there that can be used as a vulnerability. We long to connect. So there was that, but there was also a little bit more of this victim consciousness, this wanting to be supported, rescued, and saved. Sort of. I mean, you know, it's hard to pin it down just like that. It was very emotional for me as I was facing my stuff because, you know, I live in heart. So this wasn't a mental decision to join this one. This was made in my heart. And so it's puppy, no. It can be emotional. Oh, I don't know how to explain it. Anyway, there were a lot of feelings that had to be faced as I looked and saw, oh my gosh, were you in mind? How is it that you were in heart and yet you were deceived? And the truth is that I was also at least a good bit or somewhat in the mind. This one that I'm speaking of, and I'll lose more of my subscribers now, but truth. Truth is the highest thing, and I offer you my truth. And you find your own. I'm not making any statements about anyone else's path here. I'm sharing my path with you. So you feel free to go where your heart leads you. That's your only way. You can't follow where my heart leads me. No slavish followers, please. It's a liar. That one, in my estimation, in my experience, is a deceiver. I wonder how many of you have watched any of the George Kavisilas lectures. He's got one called Our Journey and the Grand Deception. I'll put a link to it along with this live journal. Apparently I can journal straight out of the box into the camera. Who'd have thunk it? This one is very crafty. He is not, in my estimation again, he is not what he says he is at all. They know just the right words to say. They sell love like it was the greatest thing, the only thing going. But it's superficial. It's just in the words. That's what I found. And I know some of you are so deeply deceived and in your minds that you will now think, I am deceived. And that's fine, sweetheart. That's perfectly fine. You've got to follow your own path. I'm just giving you information here. Do with it what you will. Please listen from heart the best that you can. On the one hand, I'm exposing my clay feet, and I'm showing you, okay, so she teaches going from head to heart, and yet look, she got caught because she was in her head. So many of his answers were just right. He's got his YouTube 777 Alaya, A-L-A-J-E, I think it is. And I wasn't convinced by that so much. I mean, it was interesting, but I knew about that for a long time, and I stayed away from it because I didn't have a clear signal. But there was another website that was put up where this one has answered thousands of questions. And somebody, whether him or somebody helping him, gathered them up, organized them into categories. And as I was going through all of those answers, so many of them resonated with truth, the best that I could see it. And at a certain point, it became overwhelming. And I had this emotional experience where I melted into tears. I was so glad to have found a brother. And one who had his, this is what he says. He's a Pleiadian, and he's fully incarnate as a Pleiadian with all of his memory and all of his contacts with his space brethren and the rest of it. And he says he has split up and he has another body of the same soul that's living on a spaceship. Now, if you think it's hard to be taken in by such stuff, we have no clue how things work. Not really. Our scientists are so on the surface of life, and they've kept us there. They've kept us pinned there like a butterfly on styrofoam. And we are energy beings, and the miraculous is more than possible, my friends. It's going to be commonplace very shortly as we're rising up in the frequencies and the dimensions and densities. Okay, so that's what this one says, and that's how I was taken in. And it's been an interesting experience. I actually had assistance in this because I shared this with my friend, whom I've called the Lady X. She's a close friend. And she spotted pretty quickly that she didn't feel right about this one. She's got shamanistic kind of abilities. You know, it's hard to say what these are. It's like sixth sense, psychic, whatever. You know, she reads energy pretty well, uh, and she wasn't comfortable with it. And that was one of the things that helped me take that hiatus and say, wait a minute, I don't feel totally comfortable. She's identified this as not quite square. Let me cut ties and go into heart and just ponder. And then the being himself, you know, did the rest. I read energy too, fairly well, not like she does, but in my own way. And it wasn't of light. Now is that all I'm going to say? Okay, no, that's not all I'm going to say. Okay, gosh. I hate to be dumping on you guys this way, but okay. There are certain things this one says that make him sound like he's really a light being. He's really anti-smokers and people that swear and drink. Okay, I'm going to try something here. Pardon the wet hair. Normally, I have this habit that when I get up after I've had my barefoot coffee and my sun meditation, I come in and I write. And so this time I want to see what happens. Obviously I've bathed uh, since then, but I want to see if I can journal this way first thing in the morning. Hello, how are you? This is so strange. I'm so used to doing this through my hands, but you know, that's how I found myself deceived by someone purporting to be of great light, and I hopped on the bandwagon for a very short while, and I believed that this was so. Sometimes, my friends, that's the only way to find out. You know, you got to take a chance sometimes. And so I joined up with this one and let him know that I believed in habit. That's being stuck in time, and that means that's being stuck in the mind. And so here we go. Oh boy, am I going to share that? Oh well, okay. Once again, lately, I have